What is up, geeks? So X-Men Apocalypse just came out and I saw it last night, and so I had a whole entire night to sleep on it and to think about, all my thoughts. We're gonna get into spoilers, so just warning you guys, I'm gonna try to go as detailed as I can, break it down, and let you guys know what I think about the movie. And of course, I want to rank all the X-Men movies in order for me, from my best to the worst, and we'll get into all those things for this review, so please stay tuned for that. So first off, I'll go with my positives, then I'll go to the negatives, and then overall what I think about the movie. So we'll start off on a positive note. As far as the looks of the characters, I was digging the looks. I mean, they were getting closer to the comics more than we've seen than any X-Men movie. So Magneto looked great in his new costume. Mystique at the end with her new costume, and actually everybody's new costumes at the end. I was hoping that we'd see that earlier on in the movie, but all those costumes in the Danger Room, it looked really great. I love them, and I can't wait to see what they do with that forward. So those were great. The looks of the each of the characters. Nightcrawler looked awesome. Angel looked great, with his metal wings. It was so cool. I loved all those things. As far as their powers, I think they did really great with showing the power of Magneto. He's so powerful, Apocalypse was super powerful. The look, I'll get into his look because it's not really a positive thing for me, but I think it wasn't as bad as we saw initially in the trailers. I think the look kind of grows on you. Definitely another positive thing, I'd say Wolverine. Wolverine was awesome in that one scene he had. Unfortunately, he didn't have any lines, but he didn't even need to have any lines. I loved how his introduction was. They really built up towards that. Would have been better, to be honest, if we didn't know he was going to be in the movie. If they left it out in the trailers, it would have been so much of a bigger impact. But it was still a great cameo for Wolverine. So excited to see him. Now, of course, we have to talk about, Professor X and the Magneto relationship. I think that's the greatest thing about this new trilogy of X-Men movies. We've seen the relationship grow over the years. It was great in the first three movies with X1, X2, and X3, but they really expanded upon it in First Class, Days of Future Past, and now with Apocalypse. I just love their relationship. I love the Magneto storyline. He's plagued with tragedy, and the story with his character was just so emotional, and you can really feel it. They captivated that on screen, and of course, he's a great actor as well. Professor X was great. He had some funny moments. I think the funniest moments was with him. His relationship with Moira. It was a great, these two actors are just great to lead this franchise. Now, the newcomers, I thought were not too bad either. I mean, they surprised me. I thought I was going to be annoyed at them, but they did pretty well. Would have liked to see Jubilee a little bit more. Would have liked to see Psylocke a little bit more. But it was great to even have them in the movie. So next, we'll get into the negatives. The positives, I think I basically covered most of them. The action, of course, like any other superhero movie, it's going to be good. I mean, you'd have to be really bad. It'd have to be a really bad movie to not even get the action right. So, negatives, I have to say I went into this movie with very low expectations and was surprised at how it ended up being because, I think my standards as a comic book fan and a superhero fan are high compared to the average person, but at the same time, they're lower than what I expected for this movie because, looking at the trailers, I just thought this was going to be a bad movie. Now, I have to say that even with my lower expectations, I was a bit disappointed. I think because of how high the standards were after Days of Future Past. Now, if Days of Future Past was an okay movie, maybe I would have liked this movie a little bit more. I still thought this movie was okay. Not the best one at all for the X-Men franchise, and I'll get into my rankings later. But compared to Days of Future Past is like up here, and for me, X-Men Apocalypse is like down here. Days of Future Past, the story was so seamless, the way they went in and out of the past and the future. Of course, they had the benefit of having the older actors, so you had that vibe of the old movies plus the new movies. So they had that advantage with that. But I think the main difference was that Matthew Vaughn was not in this production. He was the one who directed First Class. He also helped write Days of Future Past, and it felt like his touch was missing in this one. It felt a lot more like the older movies, which is not necessarily bad. I mean, Bryan Singer has been doing pretty good with the X-Men movies. It just didn't have that, the same feel as First Class and Days of Future Past for me. I thought there was a lot of corny moments. Apocalypse's lines were so dry. It was also very cliche for an evil person. The villain usually says those kind of lines. And he said it so slow and, repetitive that you knew he was going to say the next word. Like, he'd say, you need me, or I need you. And it's just, all over and over again with the new horseman that he had to recruit. It was over and over again. And I think, though, the other issue with him, and I hope I'm not ruining it for everyone. I don't like to ruin movies for anybody. I hope you just see these as critiques. I still enjoyed the movie, but I hope this doesn't take away your enjoyment. I'm just trying to be as honest as I can. But Apocalypse, his motivations didn't make sense, because to me, if he wanted to destroy the world or rid the world of all the weakness, he could have just done it himself. I mean, you saw him disintegrate people instantly. And if he has that kind of power, why does he need the Four Horsemen? They didn't really explain that well. I mean, they protected him, but did he really need protection? He was pretty strong as he was. And then the end battle, that showed how strong Magneto was. And that was kind of cool. I did like that, how Magneto was so powerful that he could do it. But he wasn't able to do it on his own like the comics. He needed help from Cyclops and Storm and everybody. Which made sense, because, I mean, it's a team-up movie. I understand. But, yeah, I mean, Apocalypse for me wasn't that great of a villain. He could have been done so much better. I think Oscar Isaac did the best he could with what he was given. I don't blame him. It was a bit of a different role for him, but he did the best that he could. And, the acting was not too bad. I mean, I've heard some critiques about Jennifer Lawrence's acting. I think she's been pretty consistent with the X-Men movies. It's just a different kind of role for her. She tried to go off of what Rebecca Romijn had to, was doing. So, I mean, I still think she was pretty good in this movie. Other negative things, I guess it was just, as much as I had lower expectations, I thought it would even be better than those expectations. But I thought it was either met with my low expectations or a little bit below. And so, with that, I'll give you guys my ranking of all the X-Men movies and compare it to other superhero movies. So, number 1 for me, Days of Future Past, without question, without doubt, up there, number 1. It's so much better than every other movie in the X-Men universe. I mean, if we're going to count Deadpool with these X-Men movies, then of course I'm going to put Deadpool first. You guys know how much I love Deadpool. So let's say Deadpool is in this X-Men universe, which it is, but not necessarily the X-Men movies. I guess you can just count it for now for this ranking. But I'll go Deadpool, then Days of Future Past right under, very close to each other. And then I'd go the Wolverine. I thought the Wolverine was very good. That's the one when they go to Japan. He did really great in that movie. Hugh Jackman was so good. And then you have X-Men First Class. Of course, that relationship between Magneto and Professor X is so good in that movie. And then after that, I'd go X2. I love that Nightcrawler scene. I think it's one of the best scenes of all superhero movies. That Nightcrawler scene in the beginning at the White House was so good. And just, that it focused on Wolverine in that movie. And I think most of the X-Men movies that are good focus on him. I know a lot of people get annoyed that he's constantly in these movies, but I felt that his presence was missed in Apocalypse. So after X2, I would go Apocalypse, then probably X1, and then X3. X1, close to Apocalypse. I mean, the introductions of each of the characters were okay. There's a lot of corny moments, but there were some corny moments in this movie too. But yeah, I would go X2, Apocalypse, and X1, X3. So, and then at the very, very bottom, Wolverine Origins, I even forgot about that one, but that was by far the worst one of all X-Men movies. So yeah, that's my ranking. And then as far as other superhero movies, doesn't reach my top 10, doesn't reach my top, I don't even know if it's my top 20. But X-Men Apocalypse, it's not one of the best movies of the year. And I'm excited for Suicide Squad now that, it seems to be the only other good superhero movie that's going to come out this year. We had Batman vs Superman, which was okay. Wasn't as bad as everyone said. We had Deadpool, which was amazing. It was so amazing. And of course, X-Men Apocalypse. I think the ranking of Rotten Tomatoes might be a little bit lower than it actually was, but it was. I think the critics somehow got it right as far as their what they thought about the movie. I know a lot of people are gonna say that it was a lot better than Days of Future Past. Some people say that it was terrible. So I know I'm not, completely lost here. But yeah, that goes. That basically does it for my review. I think overall it was an okay movie, not the best. Of course, also I was forgetting about Civil War, one of the best movies of all time. So it's coming off of that. It's coming off of Deadpool. It's coming off of BVS. So it has a lot of expectations. And now that we have superhero movies every year, like so many of them, it's gonna have to be better than the status quo. It can't just meet that, otherwise we're gonna feel disappointed, and I guess that's why I was. But it's almost 12 minutes. It's 11 minutes now, so I will stop it here. Please sound off below. Let me know what you guys think about the movie, whether you liked it, whether you hated it, and all that stuff, guys. But thank you guys for watching. Please stay tuned for some upcoming pop finals that I'll be releasing, X-Men related, of course. And subscribe if you haven't. We have new videos every week. And until next time, embrace, express, and enjoy yourself. May the Force be with you always, my young Padawan.